I can tell you right now, Satan doesn't want this story heard because it's given my phone technical difficulty. The camera froze up, but the audio continued, so I had to stop recording and power cycle the phone. So anyway, let me get started again. So I have this hallucination, and I'm not sure what to make of it. I think it's maybe a stroke from the heat, but I just, I come back to my senses, and I'm like, I'm going to continue breathing. I'm going to focus on surviving. That's all I've got to do. And so I'm breathing, and I continue to kind of falter every once in a while. I'd go to take a breath, and I'd forget if I was supposed to breathe in through my mouth or out through my nose or vice versa. And I get frustrated, and I just stop. And I'd hold my breath for a second, and then I'd start breathing again. In through my nose and out through my mouth. And all of a sudden, I hear this noise up in the platform, and it's that girl. And I hear her choking, like having like a seizure. She falls out of her chair, and I can hear her just on the floor of that platform just having a seizure. And I thought, serves her right. That's what she gets. And so I sit there and I just focus on my breathing. I tell myself, you got this. You're winning. You're going to win. You're not going to succumb to the heat. The heat's nothing for you. We've been through heat worse than this. Just breathe, man. All you got to do is breathe. And I hear that convulsing and seizing going on. And it goes on for like 2 minutes, and then it just stops. And I'm like, I won. All I have to do at this point is wait for somebody to come in and come find me. And someone will be in soon. And so I'm breathing, and I just focus on my breathing for like another hour. And all of a sudden, I hear her body kind of starting to scuffle around a little bit, and I'm like, great. She didn't die. I'm alive. She's alive. Competition's still going, I guess. So, and then I hear her like breathing through her throat, like, and I was, kind of confused, and I hear her like slap her hand down, and it's like she was crawling, and I hear her make her way to the stairs. And then she just tumbles down the stairs. And I was like, okay, now she's dead. And I heard her, when she got to the bottom, it's like I heard her back break. I heard this loud crack. And so, I'm like, it's done. Just focus on your breathing. And I'm sitting there, and I'm breathing, and probably 10 minutes goes by. And all of a sudden I hear her scuffling again. And I'm like, wow, this girl, she ain't got no quit in her. She's hard-headed like me, but it doesn't matter. I'm not going to lose. And so I kind of look over my shoulder, and she comes walking past me, and she's doing like a back bridge, like what they do in like tumbling or cheer. But I notice her torso is facing up, and her arms are bent backwards underneath her, and her hips are facing down. And it basically had broken her back. And I hear her making that throat breathing, just really kind of a terrifying sound. And she walks past me, doing this reverse bridge thing, and I'm like, am I seeing what I'm seeing? I'm like, there's something evil here. She's not just, some mean person who's trying to make money from me dying. This is demonic. And I see her, and she kind of just slowly just keeps walking, just one hand, one foot in front of the other, breathing that terrifying noise. And I'm real quiet as she walks by, and she goes out the door, and I can hear her like stumbling down the hall, and I could hear her fall and get back up. And I heard her going upstairs towards the end of the hallway, and I was like, well, good, she's getting away from me. So I'm just, focusing on my breathing again. Someone will be here soon. Someone will come find us, realize that I won, set me free. And so she, I hear her stumbling around upstairs, and she comes all the way back across, and I can hear her above my room. And I can hear her just walking around for like an hour. And all of a sudden I hear this window break. And she had fallen out the window of the second story. And I hear this car, like these brakes, these tires just squealing, sliding. And then I hear the car, drive off. So I guess she'd fallen in the street. Someone almost hit her. And then they left whenever they saw what she was, the way that she was walking. And I hear the front door bust. It was like they had me in this, it was almost like almost like a clinic, I guess. And they had been shut down, and they were, they broke into it and used this place as some sort of house where they had this competition. And basically you had to pay them $20,000 and give them someone. And they put up $20,000 of their money. And the rules were that they had to kill you, but make it look like natural causes. They couldn't stab you. They couldn't beat you or shoot you or anything like that. And at the end of the night, if you was still alive, come morning, then you won. You collected the money and prizes. And if they won, you was dead and they collected the money. And so I hear her break through the glass. It's one of those, like, I guess, push doors, that you see on like convenience stores. And I'm like, great, here she comes again. And I can hear her, and she makes her way back into the room, and she walks past me, and she just collapses. And I'm like, finally. That was weird, but it's over now. And then I hear her making these painful groans, and like she's hitting the ground or hitting the floor and flopping, and I'm like, what is she doing now? Like, I'm thinking, what could possibly be worse? And all of a sudden, she comes walking back past me again, and she looks like an elk, but her skin is just solid black, like soot black. She looks like, what her skin looked like to me was the dog from Coco, those dogs in Mexico that are black and hairless. Like, that's what her skin looked like. And the antlers were like this cold black stainless steel. And she didn't have eyes. And she had fangs and sharp teeth, like, like a wolf or something. It was just obvious that this person was a demon. And the closest thing that I can find that resembles what she looked like was on the internet. There was this movie a couple of years back. I don't remember the name of it, but the villain in the movie was the child of Loki, and it basically looked like this lady, except it was a lot taller, and it had arms where the mouth is, and she didn't have that. She was, like a wolf almost, but with these antlers. And if you don't think that demons are real, I've got news for you. Demons are very real. Because a couple of weeks ago, I was on TikTok late at night, and I don't know what it is, but my For You page late at night starts to show me like all the creepy stuff, and it entertains me. I'm not scared of it, and I enjoy watching it. But there was this one video that they had a camera set up in their kitchen, and there was like powder on the floor, and gives me chills right now thinking about it. It just stopped me dead in my tracks, and it was the sound that this demon was making, and it was the sound of them clicking their teeth together, going like that, just, and it kept doing it. And what it was doing was it was trying to scare me, because it couldn't find me. It didn't have eyes, and it was trying to scare me so that way I would make a noise, and then it would attack me. And I want you to know, it was very terrifying. Like, I'm surprised that this animal wasn't able to hear my heart beating, because my heart was just pounding and my blood was running cold, and I was just terrified of what I was seeing, because this wasn't just a competition of me surviving anymore. Now this is me not getting eaten by a demon. And like I say, that on that TikTok video, it was a demon that they had recorded, and it was making that same noise. And maybe demons make that noise. Maybe it was the same demon that was in my dream. I don't know. But it was terrifying. And so it makes its way out of the room, and I can hear it going down the hall, making noises. And so about that time, someone comes in my room, and they're like, "Oh, you made it. Good job, dude. Good for you." So now, let me check your vitals and everything. And I'm like, I don't care about my vitals. Like, get me out of here. Get me out of here right now. And he's like, "Where's whatever her name was, Christine or whatever?" And I was like, "Bro, that girl like turned into a demon, and we got to get out of here." And he's like, "Oh no, she didn't." And I said, "Yeah." And he's like, "Great." And I'm thinking, like, this guy knows that she can do this. Like, she must have done this before. And he goes, "Where's she at?" And I said, I don't know. She's somewhere in this building. I heard her making her way down the hallway." And he goes, "Okay, don't make a sound. I'll be right back." And I was like, "Where are you going? Just get me out of here. Like, you can go hunt that thing down in a minute. Just get me out of here." And he's like, "No, I can't. I got to make sure that she doesn't get out." And I'm like, "Holy." And so he leaves, and I hear him, and he's talking to her and trying to like chill her out, I guess trying to get her to transform back into her human form. I don't know. But all of a sudden he starts screaming, and I hear him like slamming back. It's like, I guess she got him with the antlers and was just slamming him back and forth across the wall, just wall to wall. And he comes back in my room, and his arm is gone, like from the armpit. And he's like, "Man," he's like, "Everything's gonna be okay. Everything's gonna be okay. Listen, I gotta go." And I was like, what do you mean you gotta go? Take me with you." And he's like, "I can't, bro." He's like, I'll be right back." And so he leaves, and I hear him run out the front door, and it was pretty calm for a person who just had their arm ripped off, I mean, I could tell he had a sense of urgency, but he wasn't like, you know, oh my God, I'm fixing to die. It was like he had to go take care of his arm real quick. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm still stuck in this room with this thing. And so about 20 minutes, 30 minutes goes by, and this black lady comes into my room, and she's like, hey, so you made it, and kind of the same thing, like, good for you. And she's like, let me check your vitals. And I was like, what? Listen, the other guy came in here to do that, and he ended up getting his arm ripped off. And she's like, wait, what? And so I tell her what happened, and she's like, great. And she's like, I've got to go heal him. I'll be back shortly. And I'm like, why? Why is everybody doing this? And she's like, he's a werewolf, and he can regenerate that arm, but I have to cast a spell on him before it's too late. And I'm like, great. So that lady's a demon, he's a werewolf, and you're a witch, and I'm still stuck in here, even though I've won. And so she leaves, and I hear that thing. It comes back towards my room, and it right before it gets to my room, it turns and goes in this other room right next to me. I don't know if it was a room like mine. I don't know if it was a closet. I don't know if it's a restroom. I don't know what it was, but it's another room. And when it turned around, I guess its antler caught the door and slammed the door shut. So it basically locked itself in this room. And I'm like, well, great. That hopefully that bought me a little time. And so I look, and the sun's starting to come up, and I'm like, we should have been out of here by now. And so I was waiting, and that lady, whenever she came in the first time, she brought me coffee and donuts, and I told her, I was like, I really don't like coffee. Is there any way you could get me a Coke? And she's like, no, I don't have time for that. And so then that's whenever I told her about that other guy. Well, so as she's running out the door, I'm like, can you please give me a Coke when you come back? For some reason, through my dreams, I was craving a Coke. And so whenever she came back, she brought me a Diet Coke. And I'm like, seriously, like, I think I probably would have rather had the coffee than the Diet Coke. And so she says, well, look, here's the money. And she opens up that cabinet that was beside me that had the light on. She opens up that cabinet, and there's a stack of like $40,000. And she goes, the money's yours. You take the guns and ammo on the wall. You're free to go. But you got to be out of here before 10 o'clock. And I'm like, why? And she goes, because that's when the contract's up. And I'm like, okay. And I was like, well, what about, the demon thing? And she's like, just try to avoid her. Right now she's locked up in that room. And, if you get out and you get free, you'll be free. It's not like she's going to hunt you forever. And I'm like, great. And so she leaves. And she undid all the safety pins and things off the bed, took the extra sheets off, and she helped me with all that stuff, checked my vitals, and everything was good. And so she leaves, and this is, kind of weird. Like, when I pulled the sheets back, I realized that I had, like, bionic legs. And it was really strange, but it was kind of like I'd known about it all along. I don't know. Well, anyway, so that thing busts through the door, and it comes in my room, and it's sitting there, and it's clicking its teeth, and I'm thinking, I gotta kill this thing before I get out of this room, because it's out now. So my chances of escaping are slim. And so I was sitting there, and it it started to walk in my room, and I had these earbuds, and I threw them across the room to make noise, and it started to walk. Well, it ran into the bed, and I was just like patiently waiting, like scared, but I was waiting, and it put its paw or hoof, whatever, up on the bed. And as soon as I I kicked with my leg, and my leg just like shot up like in a split second, hit that thing under the chin, and it just detached the head from the body. And then it wasn't like blood or anything like that, it wasn't like gory, it just separated it. And then the body disappeared, and then the skull and everything, all the flesh just kind of disappeared off of it, and it looked like, it was like almost like one of those skulls that like cowboys find out in the wild from longhorns and things like that. It kind of resembled that, but it was the antlers, were metal. And so whenever I did that, I actually had damaged my bionic leg, and then I wasn't able to get out of the bed. And I was like, great, now what am I going to do? And so I was like, well, I guess I'll wait until like 10 o'clock, and then someone else will come in because the contract's over. They got to clean up this room and everything, and make it all look like, nobody was ever here.